Let's continue with the test, with a new foil from the company Indianer, introducing the Marlin S 795. 795 stands here for the width, that is the wingspan, and it has an area of 850 square centimeters. The wing is a monocoque here. In other words, a part of the fuselage is directly connected to the front wing. The tail of the fuselage is then nearly 70 centimeters long in total length. We still have the opportunity to mount the stabilizer in two different positions. Everything is really beautifully made of carbon fiber and gives a really very good impression in terms of workmanship. Regarding the aspect ratio, this wing is a little bit larger, so a bit more in aspect ratio than a Carve 2.0, but definitely smaller than a Skate from F1. So it is positioned exactly in the middle. For test, we added the Drive H mast. HM stands here for High Modulus Carbon. The match base has several holes so that we have an extended area of the assembly. In other words, if you have a board with very short rails, you can also mount the screws in the inner holes, and thus achieves a larger area of offset. The stabilizer used here has a width of 36 centimeters. Overall, the profile is kept very thin. Looking at the front wing, it is noticeable that there is really almost no frills incorporated into this wing, and it leaves a rather inconspicuous impression. The fuselage is bolted to the mast with M8 screws. The entire construction is very nicely visible here, and from our side we can only say that it has resulted in a really extremely stiff and solid connection. First of all, it is noticeable, of course, when ascending on the foil, that this is probably the fastest ascending wing in this class that we have tested so far. It all happens effortlessly. The wing ascends smoothly for this size, of course, and optimal trim is a prerequisite here, but it can also be pumped down with pressure or accelerated. It is highly efficient in all cases. As soon as you are flying with the Marlin S, which does not require any particularly high speed, we have a completely stable wing in all axes that operates absolutely without flaws or any quirks. In combination with the slim and truly highly efficient mast, the Marlin S achieves a very good speed here, all completely without vibrating, humming, rattling, or the like. You really have a very, very resistance-free feeling here. As mentioned earlier when getting on the foil, the low speed is particularly noteworthy, as we discussed. With the Marlin S, you can really ride very slowly in comparison and perform its maneuvers very relaxed, without having to worry that the foil will drop abruptly. And what it offers in terms of agility in the individual axes, namely in the yaw and roll axis, that is truly breathtakingly beautiful. No force is needed to initiate the turns. The whole thing is really absolutely intuitive, with a lot of feedback. And you always have a very, very nice feeling for the foil. And this really more than reliable flight pattern gives a rider a lot of safety and security. And just as he requires little force when initiating a maneuver to get into the roll. Just as easily and simply, the foil also repositions itself. And the point that is really worth mentioning here, that the whole thing works perfectly, ensuring it operates over a very wide speed range. And one has no trouble there, no transitions or anything. A point where one thinks, okay, now it might get critical. One does not have to adjust to anything or the like. Nothing simply happens. So in terms of the neutrality, we really have a new benchmark here. Those who are a bit more interested in the wave here is 100% in the right place with the Marlin S. It can simply be attributed to its very good consistent speed. A very low stall speed and an exceptionally, absolutely flawless turning ability can really excite everyone here. And no matter which style one follows here, whether one is elongated down the line with the Marlin S, riding down the wave or close to the face, he does everything accordingly. In our test, it was really the case that it offers so much that we never reached the limits of this foil. You could just feel in every session that you could dare more and more. It has also become clear that the wing is so performant that you can really push it, and then it actually always produces even more power. So you come out of the turn faster than you went in. And also its glide, when you just go down the line without doing anything, is really good for this aspect ratio. Just as very good as the Marlin S behaves in the wave, it is the same here with Freestyle. At high speed, an absolutely effortless transition into the roll to get the maximum pop out of the foil during the takeoff and an immediately reattaching flow after landing are the essential points for a very good freestyle wing. Here too, it gives the rider absolute confidence, or rather control, and in this area it can definitely be counted among the best currently available on the market. The Marlin S Foil impresses in all its overall features through absolute reliability, simplicity and maximum performance. One can also clearly say that Indiana has not exaggerated in its own description of this foil on the website. A foil that has an extremely high performance potential can be accessed in the simplest way possible without to show any quirks in its possible speed range. We have not experienced in this form so far. To set a minimal limit on the whole thing, there are wings that have a slightly higher aspect ratio and exhibit a bit more glide compared to the Marlin S. Nevertheless, this foil here is an absolute beauty. And something we always say is that we evaluate foils, boards, and wings based on the criterion that if they do not annoy us at all, they will be rated even better than they might already be in terms of performance. The test here might be a bit enthusiastic, but anyone who will try this foil will find that you can only approach it by saying upfront, find the flaw. I can only speak for our test team. We found none.